Hello everybody, my name is Ethos, and welcome once again to Warframe in a Nutshell. Today we're talking about Sayrn. Yes, I know, Sayrn Prime, but still Sayrn. So quickly we're going to look at Sayrn Prime's base stats, and I will note that she does have a lens in her, which you shouldn't worry about, and then also she has two forma in her, which are for these two polarities. Base stats, though, Sayrn Prime is pretty tanky. She has 300 armor, 300 energy, 375 health, 300 shield, and 1.0 sprint speed. Now, compared to actual Sayrn has an armor of 225, a shield of 100, shield of 300, health of 375, and an energy of 225 at max rank. So as you can see, there's not a whole lot of difference. Sayrn Prime gets a little extra, about 75 extra armor, which is a pretty dang good, amount of armor, but it still isn't like over the top ridiculous. So we're gonna go ahead here and take a look at Sayrn's abilities. I am using my Reaper's Touch kit gun, but don't worry too much about that thing. It's powerful, but it's not the main reason why we're here. Okay. So we're going to do our regular level 30 Lancers. And now Sayrn's a kind of an interesting character because she is a massive powerhouse. Ooh, not what I wanted to do. I mean, still could do that. So, but we'll go ahead and kill enemies, pause the AI, and simulate. Okay, because we always like to do things from a kind of static standpoint. Okay, so here are our 6 enemy Lancers, and Sayrn has, of course, like all Warframes, 4 abilities, 1 passive. These abilities are Spores, Bolt, Toxic Lash, and Miasma, and her passive effect with status effects inflicted upon enemies last longer, which is pretty stupid. Now, Spores is a pretty big amount of information, and we're going to go through it one at a time. So, inflict the target with a pox of corrosive spores. Spread spores to nearby enemies by destroying them or killing their host. The longer the spore spreads, its damage will increase. So the range is your cast range. So I can cast this ability from 60 meters out. We'll go ahead and show that. So we're going to go and target our center guy here. So we're about 30 some meters out, 40, 47, 50, 55, 60. So from here, I can hit him with this. Now if you noticed down here by the bottom left or bottom right corner of my screen, you'll see this 1 infected and then a number that scales up by 2 each time. And if you watch, that enemy just died. And when that enemy died, it spread, and now it says 5 infected. So the infected number is the number of people that you have infected with your ability, and the damage is the amount of damage you're actually dealing to them. Remember, this is corrosive damage, so it hits their arm. If it procs, which it does quite often, it actually shreds their armor, making them more and more susceptible to the damage. To kind of show this, the damage per second is 10, and that scales up by 2 growth per enemy. Per enemy, not just if it's attached. The status chance is 50%, its spread radius is 16 meters from the first target. So if I cast on someone, it has 16 meters spread range. Its decay rate is 10%, and its reset decay is 20%. Now what that decay rate is you watch, after all the targets died, it said decay. That means the damage, the lethality of the spores are decaying over time. Now, again, there are only 2 ways of spreading the spores. One is letting it tick down and kill the target because it is an indefinite effect. Another way is actually killing the target and letting it spread via that way. But if these guys die, see now it says decaying, and it decays by 5% per. But that's not just 5, that's not 5 per, it's actually 10% of the total amount. So if it's at 1,000, it would actually decay at 100. The decaying amount that it goes down is based on what the ending damage number is. So again, if you have 1,000, 10% of 1,000 is 100. At that point, you'll be losing 100 damage per second until you can reapply the damage. Now, if you reapply the damage, which I will show in a second here, go ahead and do Answer. So we'll make 20 of these guys. We'll simulate them. So I'll run in here, do that, kill that guy. Now all these guys are starting to be affected. There's 8 guys here, so 7 of them are affected by the spore. So you'll watch, those 2 groups will stay alive. My thing is decaying. If I apply it, you'll notice that my damage dropped a little bit when I reapplied it to a target. See? It goes down from the 70 to the 60. But reapplying that spore is useful. The reason for it is every time you reapply that spore, an enemy that has been applied a spore to, it will spread the spores on death. Where any enemy that it gets spread to does not spread spores on death. So something to think about when you're doing this. So if you watch this, well, I guess there's only 3 over here. That's depressing. Okay. So the basic information is you want to attach your spores to a couple targets and then kill those targets and then keep killing more things. The problem is as time progresses, it becomes harder and harder to do that because the enemies become more and more, the damage becomes so high that you can't kill them faster than the damage being dealt. Now, besides that, Sayrn has 2 other kind of passive abilities. Of course, Molt is her defensive skill. So it sheds her skin like a snake. Sayrn leaves a decoy behind to draw fire from enemies. Its duration is 40 seconds. Health is 500. It's a 10-meter radius. That means that its taunt range is 10 meters. The damage that it can take is 400. Speed multiplier is 1.5. Its buff duration is 5 seconds. So you'll see what I mean here in a second. I'm going to summon them and unpause the AI. And I'm going to go, boop, and I molt it. You notice they're all attacking the molt, the ones who are within range. Oh boy. And I also have this thing above me. And if you look, the molt is suddenly gaining damage, and then it starts losing health. It's losing that health because... oh, I'm decaying. So what happens with the molt is just like with Rhino's iron skin, which we mentioned in a previous video. So just like... there's still one guy out here somewhere. Sorry. Okay, so just like with Rhino's iron skin that we mentioned in a previous video, when you cast Molt, it has like a 2 or 3 second immortality time period, where it can absorb damage and then make its own health higher because of it. Now, besides that, we have another semi-passive ability called Toxic Lash. So Molt is basically very, very good for giving you a small speed buff in an oh crap moment, and basically it's a way for Sayrn to get out of tough situations, or at least be semi-defensive. Toxic Lash, on the other hand, is attacks at additional toxin damage. This effect is doubled for melee attacks, and it instantly bursts spores when attacking enemies. So right now it adds 30% toxin damage, its duration is 45 seconds, and the damage block is 40%, which means it adds an additional damage block to your melee weapons if you're using one. When I apply it, you'll see it at the top right here, my timer, 30%. Now if I go out here and do that, all of a sudden now everything's spreading. Now granted, I am instantly killing things with my kick gun here because the kick gun is incredibly powerful. But it doesn't change the fact that I'm doing extra toxin damage on top of the fact that... ooh, someone hit me from behind. That hurt. As you can see there. There we go. There it is. goes. I thought I could hit the wall and ricochet and deal damage, but not exactly how it works. Still someone out here. There, he dies. Okay, so as you can see, Sayrn's first three abilities are kind of unique, kind of interesting. Now, her last ability is kind of how she does a lot of damage, as well as how she really kills targets. So Miasma is a poisonous mist that deals viral damage to enemies in range, and foes afflicted by spores are more susceptible to the damage. So I don't remember exactly how much damage increase it deals, but the duration of the Miasma is 6 seconds at static, 20-meter radius, and it's 150 damage per second. If the damage ticks before the spores every time, so it will actually proc. No, well, it procs before or after spores. I can't remember exactly what it is, but basically it almost guarantees you that you're going to be able to kill targets without having to worry too much. And since it deals viral damage, it instantly reduces their health by half, which is insanely powerful, allowing Sayrn to kill all kinds of enemies at all kinds of levels. So we'll go ahead and finish off these enemies over here. Making sure they're all dead before I start with my next batch, and we're gonna drop them down from. I'm gonna drop them down from 20 Lancers to something a little bit more. Get rid of them. We're gonna instead do our normal 6, but we're gonna bump them up to 135. And you're like, wait, what? Why are you doing so high? You haven't even modified your frame. That's because really Sayrn doesn't need it. And not because her abilities are super overly powerful, but simply for the fact of the matter that they do this. And then on top of what they're doing right there, you can activate Miasma and watch just how it shreds those targets. Again, remember this is Sayrn, unmodified completely. She has no arcanes, she has no buffs, nothing. So as you can imagine, when you start adding buffs to her, she gets even more incredibly powerful. So again, these are the only 2 modification slots I've added to her. So otherwise she has a dash, she has a D polarity dash, D, and dash. That's for the Sayrn Prime. So more often than not, I tell people, grab yourself Rejuvenation. It's really helpful on her. Or, if you have to, Toxic Resistance or anything else. I would say modify, however, this slot if you can. I just haven't. I haven't decided to bother. But with her basic kit, always setting up with your base level stuff. If you can, Intensify and Continuity. You want that extra duration. You want that extra power strength. All of it's going to be useful. But you also want range and you want efficiency. So for Sayrn Prime, you need kind of a balanced build. She's not really a rage and adrenaline kind of build, so you kind of want to play it a little bit more safe. Some people in this category will just go ahead and do Vitality for the extra health, or even Steel Fiber for the extra armor. Both are good ideas. You don't necessarily need redirection, so I'd say just kind of if you can fit it in, fit it in. If you can't fit it in, don't bother with it. But definitely in your dash polarity, make sure that you have. If you do have flow, put flow on her. The extra 600 energy can be super useful for her when she's spamming her 4th ability. Streamline, also good. Stretch, also good. Augur Message, Augur Reach, one of those 2. I always usually do Augur Reach for the extra range. So that's a basic bare bones build, and it brings her up to 105 meter range for her spores to be afflicted, and then a 28 meter spread radius, which is pretty damn good. A 65% status chance, and as you can see, lots of other crazy added powers. So if you want to see the difference between just the slight power increase that gives. So I do that. And as you can see, again, it's not a huge change, but you don't really need a huge change for Sayrn. Primarily, a lot of people will run her just for pure absolute range, which I will show you what that looks like here. Because then you can just drop 1 spore, kill 1 target, and watch the entire area just drop down. That's about 128 range. Now, as you can see here, I run Steel Fiber on this build, because I can. And I can swap that out for something completely different and be a little bit less defensible if I wanted to as well. I could drop that out, for example, I could go Intensify, give myself some extra power strength. Or I could get myself Streamline and give myself more efficiency. Or I could even get myself more duration. But let's just go ahead and give myself more Intensify for the power strength. So if we look at the abilities now, it's a 44 meter spread range, which is pretty dang impressive. It's a 79% status chance. If we wanted to see what a pure power strength build would look like, we could remove all of these here. We'd go ahead and give ourselves, of course, an aura that fits, so Rejuvenation. And we'd go Prime Intensify, Prime Vitality, and Umbral Fiber for the extra bit of power strength, Blind Rage, Transient Fortitude. And then we would also need we need Power Drift. And last but not least, we need to have the other power mod, which is Augur Secrets. And that would maximize our power on this particular build, which brings it to 333%. That is an insane amount of power strength. Now what does that equate to? That equates to 166% status chance. So if we want to see what this kind of looks like, I can go ahead and show that. It's going to be absolutely ridiculous. Toxic Lash is getting 99% added toxin damage. Speed multiplier is crazy. You're going to see me blitz. It's a very short duration, but still like, well, we'll go ahead over here with maximum power strength. This is what happens. Yep. Whee! Alright, so I drop one on him. I add the toxin damage for the 99%. And then I drop that. So probably about twice the speed that you have seen before with her damage, but the range is reduced. So it comes down to how you feel like you want to play her, and if you have the mods to even pull that amount off. But if you think about it, it really doesn't super hurt her build by building her for pure power strength now. Besides, of course, her incredible reduced efficiency. So everybody, I hope you've enjoyed watching that little part of Sayrn. We are going to talk quickly about her augments, which I do happen to have, I believe, one or two? Two. So I have Venom Dose, which is a Spores augment. So basically, casting on allies will add 50% corrosive damage to their attacks for 28 seconds. Like all augments of this kind, the 50% corrosive damage is actually augmented by power strength. So if I put this on this 333% power build, I have no idea how much actual power strength I'd get out of it, but I'm pretty sure it's somewhere close to like 150% corrosive damage. That's crazy. And then Contagion Cloud, which creates a 2 meter toxic clouds using your lash with every kill. So damage is twice as strong for melee kills. So basically by putting this on to Sayrn, all of her kills that she makes while using her third ability active creates these toxic clouds that deal damage. It's very, very useful. I probably would put it onto this build if I wanted to add the extra power, because it would give her an additional way of killing enemies apart from what she already has. Now, there's two other mods, I believe, so we'll go to Orbiter here. And I believe it's the Arbiters. I believe the Steel Meridian will probably have it, because you get Sayrn from Sedna, from Kayla de Thame. So Steel Meridian here.
Alright, what can we
We'll go ahead and look for Venom. So you have one other one that I'm missing, which is Regenerative Molt. And a lot of people swear by this augment, which basically gives Sayrn health regeneration for each second for 10 seconds after casting Molt. A lot of people use this for a basic defensive build for her. I don't care about it, so I don't use it. But it can make Sayrn pretty darn hard to kill. I have some things to claim, so I'm going to claim them quick. Because I have lots of things to build. I've been out farming the plains, as you can, not the plains, but the orb, as you can see. So, where do you pick up Sayrn? We're going to quickly go over that as well. So, Sayrn you get from Sedna, from Marrow, assassinating Kayla de Thame. That's how you actually get Sayrn's basic components. And like any other boss, you pick up her main blueprint from the marketplace. So right over here. Just type in Sayrn. See, there you go. So everybody, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. If you have, hit that like button. If you want to see more, subscribe. And if you have nasty comments, put them in the comment section, and I will get back to you. And until then, everybody, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, everybody.